Manchester United sued for £1 million by former player after details of mishandling injury emerge. Manchester United have been drawn into a £1 million lawsuit by former player Axel Tuanzebe after details of alleged mishandling of an injury have emerged. The Burnley defender, 27, has initiated legal proceedings against his previous club, seeking compensation for alleged clinical negligence related to spinal injury treatment. The Congolese international claims the Red Devils' medical handling of his injury has left him unable to compete without physical limitations. He claims this has significantly affected his professional trajectory and potential income. Court documents filed at London's High Court reveal unprecedented allegations against the Premier League giants. Tuanzebe asserts that inadequate medical care during his time at Old Trafford resulted in lasting damage that continues to impact his playing ability. Legal action centers on stress fractures affecting the footballer's spine. Court papers indicate Tuanzebe first suffered a left-sided pars fracture in January 2020. According to the lawsuit, this initial injury deteriorated into a chronic condition by July 2022, when the player also developed similar damage on the right side of his spine. The filing states, appropriate treatment plans would, on the balance of probabilities, have resulted in the claimant avoiding the pain and discomfort set out below and would have resulted in him being able to play professional football at elite level without restriction or impediment. As it is, although he continues to play at an elite level, this has impacted his career and earnings. The defender reportedly continues to experience substantial pain and discomfort from these spinal issues. Tuanzebe's legal representatives alleged that Manchester United's medical staff neglected to conduct thorough investigations into his pars fractures, failed to ensure sufficient recovery time, and failed to refer him to a specialist sports spinal surgeon when the initial fracture occurred. The lawsuit further alleges, it is the claimant's case that the defendant negligently failed to properly investigate the claimant's pars fractures, failed to rest the claimant and failed to refer him to a specialist sports spinal surgeon. According to the court documents, these alleged failures led to the player's condition deteriorating into bilateral grade 4 fractures. The legal filing maintains that proper rest periods would have prevented the left-sided fracture from becoming chronic and completely avoided the subsequent right-sided injury. Tuanzebe spent 17 years at Manchester United after joining their academy at the age of 8, progressing through the youth ranks to make 37 first-team appearances. The centre-back, who captained United in a Carabao Cup match at 21, departed Old Trafford in 2023 following loan spells at Aston Villa, Napoli and Stoke City. After 2 years with Ipswich Town, he signed for Burnley on a free transfer this summer and has started their last 5 Premier League matches. United have declined to provide any statement regarding the legal proceedings when approached by media outlets. Axel Tuanzebe, Man United accused in £1 million lawsuit of harming defender's career by failing to treat injury promptly and appropriately. Axel Tuanzebe has lodged a lawsuit against Manchester United seeking damages in excess of £1 million. Burnley defender spent 17 years at United before leaving in 2023. Lawsuit obtained by Sky News details accusations of a back injury not being treated promptly and appropriately. Manchester United have been accused of harming the career of a former player by failing to treat an injury promptly and appropriately, leaving him with more serious long-term problems, according to a £1 million lawsuit obtained by Sky News. While defender Axel Tuanzebe is still in the Premier League at Burnley, he blames United for no longer being able to play without restriction or impediment, impacting his career and earnings. The landmark case has been brought by the footballer claiming clinical negligence, shining an unprecedented spotlight on the inner workings of a leading club's medical care and alleged handling of an injury. The lawsuit lodged at the High Court in London shows the 27-year-old Congolese player expects to recover damages in excess of £1 million. An academy graduate at United, he left the club in 2023 after 17 years before going on to join Ipswich Town for 2 seasons and then signing for Burnley in June. United declined to comment. The case centers on stress fractures at the back of the spine, which the British Association of Spine Surgeons says footballers are vulnerable to. It's alleged Tuanzebe sustained a left-sided pars fracture in January 2020, which became chronic by July 2022 when he also developed a right-sided pars fracture. The lawsuit says, appropriate treatment plans would, on the balance of probabilities, have resulted in the claimant avoiding the pain and discomfort set out below and would have resulted in him being able to play professional football at elite level without restriction or impediment. As it is, although he continues to play at an elite level, this has impacted his career and earnings. The details of the injury have never previously been reported. The case centers on how MRI scans in early 2020 were interpreted following a hamstring injury suffered in a League Cup match in December 2019 against Colchester. A suspected pars fracture was detected, referencing spinal stress fractures in the lower back, which athletes can suffer from repeated movements. The lawsuit says, it is the claimant's case that the defendant, United, negligently failed to properly investigate the claimant's pars fractures, failed to rest the claimant and failed to refer him to a specialist sports spinal surgeon. As a result, the claimant's symptoms significantly progressed to bilateral grade 4 fractures, and he developed a left-sided chronic spinal fracture. Had the claimant been appropriately rested, his left-sided pars fracture would not have developed into a chronic condition and the right-sided fracture would have been avoided altogether. The fractures, which developed by July 2022, caused Tuanzebe significant pain and discomfort since their development and deterioration. A specialist sports spinal surgeon would have advised 12 weeks of rest. The lawsuit claims that in January 2020, United failed to refer him to a specialist sports spinal surgeon, who would have apparently advised at least 12 weeks of rest to allow the fracture to heal. But Tuanzebe was back playing by March 2020 for United in the Premier League 2 development competition and returned to first-team action in October in the Champions League against French side Paris Saint-Germain. Then United manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer hailed a tremendous defender, a great leader, adding, "He's going to be a top player for us and he's got the character and the attitude that a Man United player should have." In December 2020, Tuanzebe told United he was suffering hamstring pain after sprinting. Despite concerns at the start of the year, the lower spine was not imaged on this occasion, the lawsuit says. The lawsuit says, by allowing the claimant to train and play as normal from February to March 2020 and thereafter, he suffered more serious symptoms than he would have if he had been diagnosed promptly and treated appropriately with rest. It claims an appropriate treatment plan was only put in place 3 years later, in April 2023. Thank you for listening.